Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar today. We have a short agenda today as the event is only 30 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll have people join in as we kick it off here. So first of all, thank you very much for joining our virtual launch party for our brand new animated video, The Power of a Housing Investment, which explores the role that microfinance lending can play in facilitating and advancing, the accessibility and affordability of resilient housing that is able to withstand disasters, that's able to provide safety and economic opportunity, and housing that promotes a healthy life. So while we'll be screening the world premiere of this video in just a few minutes, I wanted to provide an overview of what today is going to look like. First, we'll hear from one of Build Change's key partners, Jane Manukdok from the Philippines, on the role of microfinance lending for housing resilience. Next, we'll be joined by Build Change's founder and CEO, Dr. Elizabeth Hausler, and a longtime partner and collaborator, Simon Wally of the World Bank, for a fireside chat on the state of global housing finance. We'll also hear from another one of Build Change's partners, Kamrul Tarafter, on the needs of future populations in microfinance and housing finance space. And finally, we'll watch the premiere together. So without further ado, as folks join this webinar, thank you for joining us today, and I will kick it off with some remarks from Jane Manukdok from the Philippines.
Distinguished guests and friends, colleagues in the field of development, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Alalay sa Kaunlaran Microfinance Social Development Inc. in the Philippines, we are delighted to join you in its significant activity and share ASKI's experience on the resilient housing microfinance for the vulnerable sector. At the outset, I would like to thank our partner Build Change for inviting us to be part of this global virtual launch. Just a quick overview about ASKI. It was born in October 1986 in the year of the EDSA People Power Revolution. A group of Christian business leaders in Nueva Ecija started its operation when poverty and unemployment were widespread due to the political unrest and transition of leadership. ASKI was officially registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission as a non-stock, non-profit organization on March 23, 1987. Over the years, ASKI established different strategic business units to respond to the growing needs of our clients and the community. Our headquarters is located in Cabanatuan City, Nueva Ecija. This is in Central Luzon, 115 kilometers from Manila, the capital of the Philippines. For the past 36 years, ASKI has been eagerly serving our countrymen through this poverty in the areas of our operation. Many times, we hear clients attesting to the meaningful and positive changes in their lives brought about by the growth of their microenterprises, capitalized by loans from ASKI. Right now, we have 91 offices in Central and Northern Philippines, and we are present in 16 provinces, 256 towns, and 3,624 villages, with 134,908 microfinance clients, with a total $33 million loan portfolio. And out of the $33 million portfolio, our microhousing operations is reaching 8,300 number of clients with a total loan amount of $2.1 million. Now about microhousing operations. Why we ventured into microhousing program? Mainly because our clients care so much about their homes. As hospitality is a unique trait of every Filipino. We love welcoming our guests to our homes, therefore we want to beautify it. In our loan utilization checks, it is very common that any increase in income would be utilized for the repairs and construction. Even the business capital that they borrow would sometimes be utilized for the housing needs of our clients. And because of that, we conducted market research to assess and prove the need for micro-housing. We started lending for housing needs of our clients as early as 2005. However, our approach was not perfect, so we encountered a lot of difficulties along the way that affects our portfolio at risk. One of which is the traditional housing construction, where clients would hire their trusted carpenters in the area and do as they please in repairing their homes without the appropriate engineering methods of construction, which leads to waste of their investments in the long run. We tried several approaches and partnered with several institutions in the delivery of our housing microfinance. However, I can say that we are not satisfied with the outcomes. Also, one of the major concerns in the housing program is the resilience of the houses being constructed, given the fact that the Philippines is a typhoon-prone country. On the average, we experience around 20 typhoons a year. The hardest hit regions are Cagayan Valley, Bicol, and the Eastern Visayas. In this regard, the most effective investment of our clients is their homes whenever strong typhoons struck the country. This is where we became interested with the Build Change programs because they look primarily with the housing resilience and not the usual portfolio size and outreach. In 2018, we forged a partnership with Build Change and began conducting information campaign about hazards and making housing safe and resilient to disasters to protect the lives, the livelihoods, and build sustainable communities. In the Philippines, most businesses are attached to their houses, particularly the sari-sari stores. Thus, disasters have double impact in the lives of our clients, as well as the portfolio of any microfinance institution. Today, ASKI and Build Change was able to invest in the construction of 786 houses with a total loan portfolio of $779,000. And we are happy to announce that none of these houses constructed using the resilient housing method has been damaged by the recent typhoons. At this point, allow me to share the improvement on the houses of our clients, like Florida Bigiga, Rosalinda Esguera, Josefina Asuncion, Sonia Sanico, Oliver Garcia, Ronnie Tolentino, and Marlon Bergamos. We are creating impact in the lives of our clients, but still, we have a long way to go as we are educating everyone in the importance of resilient housing and putting up capital to reach all the clients that needs house strengthening. As I end, I am also pleased to share that ASKI's initiative, together with Build Change, were recognized by the different award-giving bodies like the Association of the Development Financing Institutions in Asia and the Pacific, or ADFIA, the Sustainable Awards 2022, and the Philippine Council of Associations and Association Executives, or the PCAAE, and ang SUSI Awards 2022. To everyone watching or listening today, we keep the ball rolling and set our goals foot forward. This is the time for us to work together. Let this platform be an avenue to do actual work on the ground, and I encourage you to join us in this endeavor. You can partner with us, you can volunteer in the construction of the houses, or you can invest your money so we can reach as many Filipinos we can to provide for them a safer and secured homes that would protect their lives and their livelihoods. Together, let us make this country a safe habitation for our fellow. Thank you very much and good day to all of you. Distinguished guests and friends,
I hope you enjoyed those remarks from Jane. I know that I did, and I think it makes a real difference when you see the before and after of a lot of these families and see the tangible impact that this has. So with that, I'd love to pass it along to Build Change's founder and CEO, Dr. Elizabeth Hausler, who will be hosting the next segment of our event today, a fireside chat with Simon Wally from the World Bank. Elizabeth, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, thanks, Monica. I so appreciated Jane's comments, and we really appreciate her partnership. I especially appreciate what she said about how her clients care so much about their houses. What she didn't say is most of the clients are women. Most of the clients who have borrowed money to improve their houses are women. They're existing clients. and they have a over 99% repayment rate or something like that, which is really pretty incredible. So really grateful for that partnership with Jane and hope to continue to expand it. Simon, welcome. You're just coming off the heels of a very successful Global Affordable Housing Conference hosted by the World Bank at the beginning of June. It was so great to be in person at that event. So well done and congratulations. And thanks for joining.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for joining this very timely conversation. Yeah, we really appreciate it. I want to ask you, just jumping right in here, what's your opinion? What are some of the greatest barriers to channeling investment toward disaster and climate resilient housing?
Firstly, thank you, Elizabeth, and the Build Change team for inviting me today. It's exciting. I've had a look at the video and it's great. I really like it, and it's great to highlight the issue. I mean, the barriers, and lots of these were kind of covered during our conference. I mean, I've got four kind of main things that I think are kind of limiting the flow of financing to kind of disaster resilience and green housing. I mean, the top one, I think, and we get this time and time again, is affordability. And particularly the last few years, as interest rates have gone up and inflation has hit, I think at a household level, the household, they're thinking, what is the lowest cost housing? What am I going to have to pay every month? And if you have the choice between one option, which is non-green, non-resilient, but a lower payment, that's what households will typically go for. So it's finding ways to make housing more affordable and cover that extra cost that may be there, that may make sense over the long term, but in the short term, it may not fit household budgets and priorities. The other three kind of aspects is probably scale. And I think your Filipino speaker mentioned this about the need to kind of really scale up. This is a big challenge. I think you can have pilot projects that have great impact on the ground, but it's how you kind of reach millions and millions of people and have the systems in place to achieve that. The third one, and this is something the World Bank is kind of very aware of, is kind of getting the investment into the housing before a disaster occurs. I think too often the focus is on whether it's and it's right that there is some focus, that the floods in Pakistan, the earthquakes in Turkey and in Syria, but ideally you want to preempt that. You want to get kind of the resilient housing there beforehand rather than have to deal with the aftermath. And that's kind of one of the difficulties, getting those messages across for the early investment. And then the last one is probably just having organized systems. And again, this is difficult in emerging economies where you may just have a few thousand mortgages in some countries. Many of the countries I work in Africa, this is the case. But unless you have an organized system, it's then difficult to have kind of the self-regulatory mechanisms in place, like insurance, for instance, that would kind of make sure that the asset is built to a certain standard, meets building codes, that it's not built in a floodplain. And so having an organized system regulated with oversight I think is kind of one of the important barriers.
Affordability, scale, operating, being able to upgrade houses before disaster, and organized systems. Yeah, I think that's pretty brilliant. You've pretty much laid it out. So then tell us then, what has the World Bank been doing to overcome these barriers, to advance and open up these financial pathways towards resilient housing? And what other gaps are still there, if you want to elaborate on those more?
I mean, a lot of what we're doing, firstly, the World Bank, as of July 1, 2023, I think 100% of our projects are now Paris aligned. So on the housing side, this means that every new project we do has to be seen through kind of a lens of green, resilient, inclusive housing. So a lot of what we're doing is bringing in standards, like I mentioned, for instance, and it's not limited to, but we make a lot of use of the IFC's EDGE certification process. But going beyond that, looking at how that can be financed, and looking at how we can crowd in private capital so we get that scale, looking at how we can bring in long-term finance so we can reduce the costs and tackle some of those affordability issues. but bring it together as a whole package, I think is one way to look at it. I mean, the other thing that often with this sort of investment, it will vary from country to country. Every country has got different challenges. Some it would be kind of looking at building in flood-prone areas. Others are susceptible to droughts, for instance. And so it's on a country-by-country level that you need to think, what are the solutions needed? Is it kind of a purely housing issue? Is it more of a zoning issue? And kind of tailoring solutions. So it's working in partnership with the countries across the whole housing value chain, really, private sector and government. That's kind of our objective at the World Bank.
So that opportunity to simultaneously address sustainability and resilience is brilliant as well, right? You know, we've seen these two things be at odds with each other, but being able to address both of them at the same time is, I think, a huge opportunity, as well as to simultaneously address multiple disasters, not just be focused on earthquakes or be focused on hurricanes, be focused on all of those as we upgrade existing housing. Okay, so last question is about incentives. What incentives are most effective, in your opinion, for public and private sector actors to invest more in housing issues?
Honestly, the private sector would be interested. It's about realizing the profit motive and having the right systems, the enabling environment in place to make it work. We've seen this in India to a large degree, where we've over the last few years we've worked with the National Housing Bank there to bring housing to much lower income groups, particularly those with informal incomes, which were previously underserved. So it can be done, but done in a way where, as you say, it's sustainable, but you go to scale. I mean, otherwise incentives, I mean, the other thing we're looking at, and again, this is where it varies from country to country. If you have the fiscal space, you can look at subsidies and kind of really think of your subsidy framework to address some of these market failures, such as investing more in green housing. This is a big topic in Europe at the moment. The EU countries are all kind of looking to how they can make their housing more energy efficient. There's less space for that in emerging economies. So you have to be a bit more creative about how you create those incentives. And this is kind of partly the role the World Bank can play to bring in new ideas, new solutions, such as scaling up the great speaker you had from the Philippines, and how you can bring that to scale.
But that's what's exciting. I guess that's part of what's exciting about the opportunity, is there is an opportunity for innovation, and there's an opportunity to be creative with incentives and subsidies, because they are needed, right? If we're, you know, for a range of income levels, for a range of contexts, there is an opportunity to, you know, use the carrot or use an incentive even more than, you know, a penalty. That's great. Thank you so much, Simon. Really appreciate your comments and your partnership. Thank you for joining us in this exciting moment, and hope we can continue to work together to channel more investment and more innovative, creative solutions toward climate and disaster resilient housing.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, and congratulations on your video. It's great.
Thank you. Monica, back to you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, I think that there's so much more that we could say on this topic. It's, you know, it's a short time that we have today, but this conversation could go on for hours and hours about incentives, about, you know, the role of the private sector, about scaling and affordability. But keeping with our agenda for today, I am going to share some remarks from another one of Bill Change's fantastic partners, Mr. Kamrul Tarafder from ASA Philippines. He will be delivering them pre-recorded, as it is quite late in the Philippines. So I hope you enjoy.
Good day to everyone. It's a great pleasure to be with you today with the Bill Change on their infographics, developing materials that will benefit poor households in developing their houses to become climate resilient houses. We're thankful to Bill Change and its CEO, a good friend, Miss Elizabeth Hostler, who visited us before pandemic, and we started our partnership. Since then, as of today, ASA Philippines is catering to almost 2.2 million clients across the country, from Itbayat to Batanes at the northernmost to the Sitangkay of Tawi-Tawi at the southern part of the country, with a portfolio of $776 million US. We thank Bill Change for the partnership in developing climate resilient houses in the climate impacted areas. We have given around $354 million US, benefiting over 1 million clients for their housing and housing related finances. Currently, we have around 242,000 active borrowers who have taken housing and housing related finances, and mostly in relation to the climate resilient house. So we'll continue to this partnership with Bill Change for the benefiting of our clients in the areas where typhoon and other natural calamities have devastated the habitat, the houses of our clients. As you know, we recognize our client as our nanais, means mother in English term, and they are our bosses, as all of our income is coming from their little contributions. So whatever venture like Bill Change, we'll continue to take that advantage, and we'll do it for the benefit of our clients, their families, their livelihood, their houses, and most importantly, for the improvement of quality of life. So thank you very much.
Thank you to our partners at ASA Philippines for those wonderful remarks. And I think it really does highlight, not only the micro impact, but also the macro impact, looking at this from the point of view of these microfinance institutions and how they're envisioning housing resilience in their own way as well. Without further ado, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm happy to share the final video of today's session, which is the power of a housing investment. So let me share my screen and share it all with you as part of our world premiere.
Making existing housing more climate and disaster resilient presents a significant opportunity for impact investors. Millions of families globally lack access to financing for building and improving the houses they need for safety, stability, and opportunity. This makes them extremely vulnerable, particularly women and children, who are 14 times more likely than men to die in a disaster. And for most people, their home is their greatest economic asset, and the future looks bleak. By the year 2030, 40% of the world's population will lack adequate housing. For 2 decades, as a nonprofit social innovator, Build Change has enabled millions of people worldwide to live in safer houses through better building, policy, and financing solutions, and scaling with partners. We provide both private and public sectors with technical assistance to successfully invest in disaster-resistant housing, creating long-term housing and economic resilience with financial, social, and environmental benefits. One private sector pathway we are leading is to build the capacity of trusted microfinance institutions to enable their clients to upgrade their homes to better withstand disasters. With our combined lending and engineering expertise, low-income women can now afford to make their homes safer at costs 5 times lower than building new. In turn, the home's increased resilience creates more stable lending conditions for deploying capital in disaster-prone areas. So, how does it work? Loan officers build awareness among existing, proven clients living in common housing typologies. Clients then choose a trusted builder who participates in Build Change's training program. A builder or loan officer trained by Build Change assesses the home's deficiencies and the homeowner's preferences. Build Change's custom platform then uses the assessment data to identify the required upgrades, materials needed, and borrowing options. Finally, loans are approved and dispersed. The work gets done and the client repays the loan. Clients can choose to take on another loan for additional improvements, and the revolving repayments generate interest for investors. Build Change has successfully applied this lending model in the Philippines, where hundreds of women have upgraded their homes with repayments exceeding 99%. Now, we are unlocking capital to replicate the model in Indonesia and globally so that millions of other women can protect their families' safety and wealth. Thinking of investing? Making existing housing resilient is an untapped billion-dollar market. This is a huge market-building opportunity. Your philanthropic investment will enable Build Change to both expand its award-winning expertise to more microfinance partners and improve construction quality and repayment performance. We can help more women secure resilient housing by increasing the flow of capital funds for microfinance institutions to on-lend. Together with the collaboration of philanthropists and investors, we can create a more resilient housing and financial system, ultimately making families safer.
So there it is. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did making it. And I'll pass it to Elizabeth once again for the final word on today's event.
Yeah, so exciting to see. Millions of women can protect their family's safety and wealth. I think that's the biggest takeaway from the video. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you have a chance to watch it again. There's some technical details in there. So please click on it on our website, share it with your friends and partners. What we're doing here is trying to generate more investment and more incentives towards folks strengthening their homes to withstand disaster. So yeah, I'm so excited to be at this point. So I want to thank several people for getting us here. First, the Skoll Foundation, who supported us both financially and in the creative process, and to TMC Animation, our very skilled animators who brought this video to life. It's their work and their vision here that brought this beautiful movie to all of us. So thank you so much to our colleagues there. We also thank the many folks who helped us review the video and think about how to communicate this very important message of investment in disaster resilient housing. So thank you so much to everyone who helped us with this video. It's clear that we need to be creative and come together in partnership to advance housing resilience. It's through models like microfinance, especially microfinance targeted toward women, toward existing clients of microfinance institutions, that we can come together, bring the private sector even further into the conversation. But it does need significant investment, both from philanthropy to cover the technical assistance costs, as well as investors who are willing to put liquidity into the market at affordable rates so that these products can be available. So for those of you who are thinking through how to innovate, please join us. Let's connect, let's work together. We do need more advocacy and more action, more stakeholders in the mix to make resilient housing accessible to everyone. So lastly, for those of you who haven't already read the Build Change Guide to Resilient Housing, it's a paper and digital document that includes both an operational manual as well as case studies. It allows us to dive deeper into the model for success for microfinance lending. Monica has just included it into the chat. We also have a relatively newer study called the cost study, which goes over the cost of improving vulnerable housing. And we have a carbon study, which is coming in the next couple of months. So we know that microfinance can have this macro impact when deployed effectively, when deployed at scale, which is something we still need to achieve. So we really look forward to partnering with all of you, working with so many of you in the coming years to expand and replicate this model for systems transformation for resilient housing. So thank you so much, everyone. Have great days and evenings. Download and watch the video, download our resources, and reach out to us about partnership. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you.